Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Matt Morris. We are live right now on Rumble at Matt Morris TV and on YouTube at Matt Morris TV. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, November 6th, bright and early in the morning. I am out of bed early today because late last night, President Trump or President Trump's team threw up on the official President Trump White House schedule an emergency announcement that President Trump is going to be making today inside of the Oval Office in the White House in Washington, D.C. Now, people are kind of speculating what this announcement is going to be right now. We have maybe 4 or 5 different potential topics. As usual, the White House doesn't actually come out and explicitly tell us what they are going to be talking about or what they are going to be announcing. So we have to kind of speculate sometimes. Now, President Trump is going to be coming on out 14 minutes from now. I always like to go live a little bit early because we have a lot to talk about to kind of segue into this. Ladies and gentlemen, today is day number 37 of the ongoing government shutdown. This is the longest shutdown in all of United States history. The Senate, as far as I know, sometimes they change their schedule, but as far as I know, later today, this afternoon, the Senate is going to reconvene and they are going to vote again, I believe the 15th time, on whether or not to reopen this government. This Democrat-manufactured government shutdown might be coming to an end. Yesterday's topic, we spoke about this here on the live show. Chuck Schumer is currently begging President Trump and the Senate Republicans to make a deal to reopen the government. Please, we got to reopen the government. Why? Well, Chuck Schumer is scared to death. He's petrified. It seems as if the Senate Republicans might end up actually going nuclear. That is one of the big national conversations currently unfolding. The Senate Republicans, many of them are kind of timid. They're scared. They kind of don't want to do it. They're scared that it might reflect poorly on them come midterms, etc. Meanwhile, President Trump is saying it is time to go nuclear. It is time to go scorched earth. And we have some new nuclear news to talk about today. So we might be that might be what this announcement this morning is about. Beyond that, we also have, and we're going to talk about this today, we have some January 6th bombshell news. It seems as if some of you might remember, rewind your brains, 5 years ago now? There was a, how can I phrase this? There was a curious individual who was attempting to carry out a pipe bomb attack at the U.S. Capitol. It didn't end up going on. This was happening on January 6th. And it seems as if this pipe bomber or this would-be pipe bomber, domestic terrorist, has now been discovered. And it seems as if the Joe Biden intelligence community, Joe Biden's FBI, actually played a role in covering up and maybe even orchestrating this would-be domestic terror attack on January 6th. And so we are going to talk about that today. We have some new bombshell news. Was it a member of the Fed? Was it a Fed that tried to carry out this attack? We're going to talk about that today as well. Now, people are suspecting that today's news is relating to Ozempic. You all know about Trump RX. Trump is every single day battling to reduce the price of pharmaceutical drugs for all of us Americans here in America. He's shaking hands and making negotiations all over the world with pharmaceutical companies. He has negotiated most favorable nation status for many of the top pharmaceutical drugs that Americans use, which means, what does that mean? In essence, it means that these pharmaceutical companies are not allowed to charge us Americans more for these drugs than they charge for other people elsewhere in the world. So you hear all these terrible stories of like some drug in Europe costs $20. Meanwhile, the same drug in America costs $200. Well, President Trump has said, no more. Listen, most favored nation status. Now you are not allowed to charge for that drug more in America than you charge in Europe. So this might be about Trump RX. Now, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, even if today's announcement is about this or that, you know how President Trump operates. Always at the end of these announcements, he's got the White House media corps standing by. And so even if you don't care about Ozempic, who knows, maybe that's what it is about, stand by until the very end, because at the very end, President Trump always takes 20, 30, 40 minutes of questions from the media where really we just start talking about everything. Okay, so that's my warning for all of you folks. Now, the other really massive topic that I believe we're going to have a Supreme Court decision on this later today. The Supreme Court is going to be ruling on whether or not President Trump does in fact have the executive authority to leverage trade tariffs. The reason why this is controversial is because Article 1, Section 8, Clause number 1 of the U.S. Constitution says, and I quote, the Congress shall have power to lay and to collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, but all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. And so there's this ambiguity. It doesn't say specifically tariff. It says taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. And so this has been a legal battle going on for quite a while now. It's gone all the way up to the Supreme Court. We've had various radically progressive judges in the lower courts, in the lower federal judiciary saying, hold up, wait a minute, Trump, you can't leverage tariffs. It's gone all the way to the Supreme Court. We had oral arguments yesterday. Trump's legal team was debating it out in front of the Supreme Court. Now, just a little bit of an American history lesson. Since 1934, Congress, since 1934, Congress has voted 19 times. 19 times Congress has voted in the last 90 years to specifically give the President of the United States the power to impose and leverage trade tariffs. Congress has voted this way 19 times in the last 90 years. And so every other president throughout all of American history has leveraged trade tariffs. It's only now that President Trump is in office that it's this big constitutional crisis. The Constitution doesn't even specifically say tariff, by the way. We just looked at that. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 8 minutes or so until President Trump goes live in front of all of us inside the Oval Office to really start breaking it down. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Please make sure to like and to subscribe. In fact, I have breaking news. On a personal note, I have breaking news for all of you folks. Let me get myself back up here on the big screen. You guys might have noticed I have never done any collaborative content. I've never done any interviews. I've never gone on anybody else's podcasts or had anybody else on my show. This is a one-man operation, and so far we've got 650,000 subscribers. That's you guys. I've been a one-man operation. I haven't even spoken to anybody ever. I've got no connections. I said, you know what? I've been going solo. Here's what I'm going to do. When I hit 1 million, that's a lot, subscribers on this channel, I will start collaborating. I'll start having guests. I'll start doing professional interviews because I've had people ask. I've been invited to go over here and over there. I've had people ask, hey, can I come on your show? So far, I haven't done it yet. I said, when we get to 1 million, someday, it might be a couple months, might be a couple years, God forbid, then I'm going to start having people on. And then I'll start making the rounds. I'll start going on other people's shows. So, hey, make sure to hit that subscribe button. There's my little plug. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 6 minutes until President Trump comes on out. Take a listen to President Trump's message late last night to the Senate Republicans about going nuclear. Take a look.
Remember, Republicans, regardless of the Schumer shutdown, the Democrats will terminate the filibuster the first chance they get. They will pack the Supreme Court of the United States, pick up 2 states, that's a lot of states, and add at least 8 electoral votes. Their 2 objectors are gone. Remember, Sinema and Manchin, they're gone.
I want to pause and add some context here. There were 2 Democrat senators. You just mentioned them, Sinema and Manchin. They refused to ever go nuclear. These were Democrat senators. They said, we're never going nuclear. We don't want to do it. We do not want to get rid of the filibuster. You know what the Democrats did? They primaried them. They replaced their own Democrat senators with new radically progressive senators that are willing to go nuclear, that have promised to go nuclear. As if there's any doubt as to whether or not the Democrats are, in fact, going to go nuclear in the future. They will. They have promised. We got to do it.
Don't be weak. Don't be stupid, Republicans. Fight, fight, fight. Win, win, win. We will immediately end the extortionist shutdown, get all of our agenda passed, and make life so good for Americans that these deranged Democrat politicians will never again have the chance to destroy America. They tried to destroy your country.
Yes.
Republicans, you will rue the day that you didn't terminate the filibuster. Be tough, be smart, and win. This is much bigger than the shutdown. This is the survival of our country.
Yes.
Terminate the filibuster, and let's live the great life that this country is capable of living.
So Trump is saying right now, listen, if we don't do it right now to save the country preemptively, to undo the damage the Democrats have already caused, and then also to prevent damage from the Democrats in the future, at some point in the future, we got to do it now. We've got to Democrat-proof this country. We need to go nuclear and pass voter ID laws, voter registration laws. Excuse me. We need to purge illegal aliens from the state-level voter rolls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, this video is not I saw some people saying, is this artificial intelligence? This was posted this morning by Carolyn Levitt. The White House, President Trump released a series of messages like this on the official White House page. This is not AI. Maybe sometimes it's tough. In 2025, it's hard to tell sometimes. I can't even blame you guys. Is it new? Is it AI? Is it not? This one is not. But yeah, good catch. Keep an eye out for AI. You never know. Now, I'll tell you what, this is what President Trump is talking about. He's saying if the Democrats ever get back in control of this country, House, Senate, White House, what are the Democrats going to do? Well, they're going to do exactly what they have been talking about doing publicly. They are going to nuke the filibuster. They are going to pack the Supreme Court with another 5, 7, 9, 11 Supreme Court justices such that they will be able to shred the Constitution to pieces. You all know about these radically progressive lower court federal judges like Judge Boasberg, for instance. Imagine we had 11 Judge Boasbergs on the U.S. Supreme Court right now. Imagine we had, 21 Supreme Court justices, and 11 or 13 of them were Judge Boasberg or Judge Boasberg-like. It's dead. The country's over. It's over. And by the way, that is what they will do. That is what they have promised to do. We already know. They have been totally upfront. The Democrats have promised to do that. Beyond that, they're going to open up the border. President Trump was talking about the Democrats trying to add more states into the union. The Democrats have openly talked about giving statehood to Puerto Rico and to Washington, D.C. That's 2 more states. Well, and both of them would be radically progressive and Democrat, of course. Voting Democrat. Well, guess what? Every time you have a new state, every state gets 2 senators and some number of U.S. House representatives. So they're right there. That's 4 new senators for the Democrats. And God knows how many House representatives. It's over. You can kiss the Republic goodbye. It's done. We need to do it now. I'm with President Trump on this one. Now, real quickly, while we are waiting for President Trump to come out, how long do we have here? Sometimes the official White House page on YouTube goes live. Okay, it seems like we have a couple more minutes. Do we have an Associate Press live feed of outside? Oh, yes, we do. Okay, we have a White House live feed. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on standby waiting for President Trump. Soon he is coming on out. Now, I want to quickly talk about this January 6th news. I don't know how many of you care about this. I care about this a lot. We heard about J6 for 5 years. Insurrection. Yeah, baloney. Insurrection, my butt. Look at this. Weaponization. Investigative journalist Steve Baker was getting too close to the truth about J6, and the Biden administration arrested and prosecuted him to silence him. On the upcoming days, he will reveal the truth behind the J6 pipe bomber. This is Steve Baker, independent journalist. He was arrested and criminally prosecuted by the Joe Biden administration to try to silence him. He says the rumor is true. There is a high degree of certainty that the January 6th pipe bomber has been identified. Given the inevitability of leaks, we briefly discussed our findings on Glenn Beck's show earlier this morning. The full story should drop tomorrow. I'm sorry, this morning was yesterday. Tomorrow is today. And so Glenn Beck and The Blaze, they're going to be breaking this news. The Blaze issued a statement. I think it is the biggest scandal of my lifetime. It is monstrous. What are we going to find out here? Are we going to find out that the January 6th would-be, because they failed, the would-be pipe bomber was actually a Fed. It was a senior ranking Democrat. They were paid off by the Democrats to try to do this. What is going on here? By the way, a couple pictures. This person so far has remained uncaught. They have been at large. We have never figured out who this is. They tried to carry out a pipe bomb attack on January 6th. It didn't go off. Steve Baker stuns Glenn Beck with bombshell revelation about the J6 pipe bomb suspect. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cough here. Blaze News investigative reporter Steve Baker and Joseph Hanneman have spent years working to identify the masked individual who placed pipe bombs near the headquarters of the Republican. You know what? The Republican National Committee and DNC Committee in Washington, D.C. I'm going to tell you something here. I saw something. I'm sure I could find it. What is his name? Kash Patel, FBI Director Kash Patel, 3 days ago, posted on X, on Twitter, asking if anybody has any information. Come on, work with the FBI, give us information. That was 3 days ago. I caught that on Twitter. FBI Director Kash Patel posted that. That timing is a little bit weird. That Kash Patel's posting, asking for information publicly about this guy here, whoever this is. And then now we're getting this bombshell report coming out of the Blaze. We know who it is. Allegedly, we're going to find out today. Curious timing. You can't help but notice that. Rasmussen Reports, I see here, they issued a little post here late last night. Said 65% of voters previously believed that January 6th was a Fed-surrection. Do you believe yes or no? Do you think so? Yeah, seems to be the case. We already know that there were, 147 federal agents, federal provocateurs in the audience, in the crowd, trying to get people riled up, etc. So yeah, we already know to some degree there was some suspect involvement here. Later today, it appears that they will be proven correct. We're going to find out. Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson, we're going to move on because, like I said, we've got a lot to talk about. I'm keeping tabs. Is President Trump coming out yet? Is the official White House page live yet? No, we've got a couple minutes here, ladies and gentlemen. Good, because we've got stuff to talk about. House Speaker Mike Johnson came out today and talked about this Supreme Court case regarding President Trump's executive authority to use trade tariffs. Take a look at what he had to say.
I'm cheering for the president that the executive will win on this. Now, I say that as a jealous guardian of the legislative branch of government, Article 1. There's a reason we're listed first in the Constitution. This is supposed to be the place of greatest importance. We're the ones that are supposed to make the law and the policy. But we do give the executive traditionally a lot of leeway, a lot of discretion over international trade. And we had a serious problem in this country for decades. As you all know, and you've discussed many times, we had a big trade disparity. The president stepped in. I think he's used that authority appropriately. He's obviously created a lot of leverage for our trade strategy internationally, and it's yielded great results. And so I'm watching that carefully because I'm the guardian of the Article 1 branch of government. But I think he's well within the lines, and I hope that a majority of the justices agree, because if they reverse all this, it would really be chaos in the markets and in the economy. It'd be a real problem for the country.
I'll tell you what, folks. I think within all of us right now, we need to kind of brace for the worst, because who knows? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You got to be ready for that. If the Supreme Court later today or tomorrow, I think today, decides that President Trump, in fact, does not have the constitutional authority to leverage trade tariffs, that will be very bad. That will be a blow to the America First agenda. That's going to cause a lot of damage. Our country at whole, beyond President Trump, our nation will be crippled on the global level, on the world stage, economically speaking, on a trade level. It will be very bad news if the Supreme Court takes away President Trump's authority to slap out these tariffs. Now, once again, he mentions Article 1 of the Constitution. I want to read this again. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1. It says, and I quote, "The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises." It does not specifically say trade tariffs. It does not specifically say sanctions, tariffs or sanctions, taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. There's a little bit of ambiguity here, and that's kind of what this debate is all about. Is a tariff a tax? Is it a duty? How do you interpret this? Now, once again, the history lesson, the American historical component here is that since 1934, Congress has voted on 19 individual occasions. 19 times Congress has voted in the last 90 years to give the President of the United States the power to impose and leverage trade tariffs. 19 times Congress has voted in the last 90 years after World War I. And so presidents have been doing this for a very long time. I'm seeing if President Trump is out here yet. Presidents have had the pretty much complete and total authority to leverage tariffs. It's only now that President Trump is in the White House. It is a constitutional crisis. It's a national concern. We've got to shut it down. Presidents have been doing this forever, for a very long time. Barack Obama was throwing tariffs around. The Democrats never had a problem with that. The lower federal judiciary, the radically progressive federal judiciary, never had a problem when Barack Obama, he was using a lot. In fact, even Joe Biden, I believe, at one point threw a tariff on somebody. He woke up from his nap in the Oval Office to throw a tariff out there. If you can believe that or not, maybe it was his auto pen. I don't know. But that's the big debate. But I'll tell you what, it will be bad news. We might have some bad news if the Supreme Court decides against this. Now, we've got Howard Lutnick chiming in on this. We'll take a look at what he said about this ongoing tariff situation late last night.
The president is using these tariffs. This is by justice. The president is using these tariffs to end the war in Russia and Ukraine, right? He's told India, stop buying oil. If you take these powers away from the president, he can't make the world and the United States of America a safer place.
Yes.
I think the justices know it. They know the law. They went over the words. It was crystal clear if you sat through the second half of today. And a lot of those articles today were written in the first half. You listened to the second half today, you left like I did, very confident that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is going to win this case because these powers protect America.
Okay, Howard Lutnick is confident. Howard Lutnick thinks that this is going to go the way the Trump administration wants it to go. He goes on to say,
this is the Super Bowl. This was the Super Bowl of trade, right? Trade, and this was it. The only thing missing was walk-on and walk-off music and a halftime show. I mean, this was it. And there were fireworks all the time. But think of some of these questions, like Justice Kavanaugh says, imagine a meeting in the Oval Office with the president where, and this was his cross-examination of their lawyer, and he says, you've said he could embargo, he could cut off trade with any country. And their lawyer said, I agree. He goes, imagine telling the president in the Oval Office, sir, you can blow up trade with this country. And he goes, that seems too much. Can I put a tariff on him and do a little less? And they say, no, sir, you can't. and Justice Kavanaugh says, that seems like a very odd donut to me. I mean, how could you let that happen? It just didn't make sense. The justices were on the president's side. You're hearing it here from me. President Trump is going to win this case.
We can only pray, genuinely, sincerely. Like, I want you to actually think about what the ramifications of this Supreme Court decision might be if they side against the president here. Imagine President Trump walking into the negotiating room with Xi Jinping and the Chinese delegation. They can impose all the tariffs they want on the U.S., and Lord knows they have. They've been ripping us off. They've been engaging in economic trade behavior for decades, taking advantage of our incompetent leadership and taking advantage of our country. Imagine Trump walks into the negotiating room with China. He's got nothing to bargain with. The only thing President Trump can do, well, not the only, but perhaps the most consequential thing President Trump can do when he's negotiating with some of these belligerent nations, these BRICS countries, trying to get countries like India, he said, to pull away from Russia to try to bring about peace in Ukraine, etc. Or you can focus on this European Union trade deal where President Trump was able to leverage tariffs on the European Union to, one, get them to pay their fair share of their NATO expenses, and two, stop spending so much money on Russian energy and to invest in American manufacturing. President Trump would have not been able to do any of these things. All of these other nations, China primarily, would be able to keep running in circles around us if he didn't have tariffs. And I will guarantee to you right now, I will promise you, is Trump coming out yet while I'm talking here? I will promise you that if the Supreme Court takes away President Trump's capacity to leverage tariffs, these other countries around the world, they are going to take advantage of us. We will be even more than ever. We already have been taken advantage of. They are going to bend us over. There's no other way to put that. Our country is, it's done. It's over. This is a very big deal. Very big deal. Now, our U.S. Trade Representative, this is the official page. We'll take a look at what they said about this.
Well, if it doesn't go the way President Trump wants, he loses a lot of the flexibility that we believe Congress granted him to deal with these emergencies we're facing, right, of the trade deficit, the loss of manufacturing, et cetera.
Oh, yeah.
And then what's next? Well, then, as Justice Barrett pointed out, there's the question of the funds. I think some of that is an open question, and so the Treasury Department will have to figure out what that means, and there might even be more litigation on that point. And then, of course, tariffs are going to be part of the policy landscape, and the justices all signaled a lot of additional authorities that are out there. We continue to be confident in this case, but believe me, tariffs will be a part of the policy landscape going forward.
Well, they've got to be. Now, I see this big super chat here. This is from Pow Ninth. He says, how hard is it to remove the filibuster, pass your laws, then reinstall the filibuster? So this is actually a very curious question. Nobody's ever asked that, but here's the answer. You can do that. We've all been saying nuking the filibuster is permanent. If you get rid of it, it's gone permanently. Technically speaking, the Republicans could nuke the filibuster, pass all the legislation they want, and then they could, by nature of having a majority in the House and the Senate, they could reinstate the filibuster after having passed all the legislation they want. They could do that. That's like the technical approach to it. However, that being said, there's not really a point. The damage is already done, because regardless, if the Democrats ever get back in control of the Senate, if they ever have a simple majority of the Senate, they will get rid of it. Whether or not the Republicans reinstate it or get rid of it and don't reinstate it, the concern, I guess, still on the back end is that if the Democrats ever get a simple majority, then they're just going to get rid of it anyway. It doesn't matter. So yes, that could be done, but it does not matter really. But you're right. Now, let's start talking about the shutdown, because right now, speaking of nuclear and filibuster, we're going to talk about the shutdown here, but I am keeping tabs on whether or not the official White House page has gone live yet. And the answer is no. We have this beautiful sunny day in Washington, D.C. Every time I see this point of view, it makes me want to go on a visit. I want to go on a vacation to D.C. It's a beautiful city. Anyway, especially now that Trump has cleaned it up. But speaking of nuclear option, speaking of filibuster, let's talk about what's going on with our airline industry, because as far as I understand it, we are seeing massive air traffic shutdowns because of this shutdown. Take a look.
It's going to take us some time to staff back up. It will be data driven, but no doubt we'll see light at the end of the tunnel. Right, we're going to start to reduce that 10%, maybe to 5, maybe to 4, until we can get back to normal travel. But the data will determine how we do it, when we do it.
So the FAA is set to reduce air traffic by 10% at 40 different airports because these air traffic controllers right now, 13,000 air traffic controllers so far have been working without pay. They are overworked. They are stressed out. This is an important job. We do not want to have air traffic controllers that are tired and sleepy and irritable. They're not getting their paychecks. We don't want that. This is a pretty important job. Out of all the jobs we have, that's one of the most important, okay? There are some other ones that are important, but ATC, that's a big job too. And so because of the shutdown, they're not getting paychecks. So we've had to reduce air traffic now.
And even the NATCA, the National Air Traffic Controllers Union, has said it'll take time to get everyone back in the towers. So as they come back online, we'll reopen the airspace. But again, we're about safety. We're about making sure people's flights go from point A to point B and people get on them and off them safely. And we're just, as Americans, going to deal with the gridlock. I hope that the whole Congress looks at this and says, let's find a pathway forward together. I've been in these, but we've never had a shutdown that's lasted this long. So we're in uncharted territory. And by the way, our controllers have done a great job showing up compared to other shutdowns. So they're doing their work. But it's just they're going to go into the second pay period without a paycheck, and it's the longest ever, Brian. And again, there's consequences for it. And people have asked me, why don't you find money for air traffic controllers? Like, that's the purpose of a shutdown. I don't have access to money. I can't find dollars to pay them because the Congress said there is no money, and so we can't break the law. And so I can't pay them. I'd love to, but I can't. And so the message is, sit down, figure this out, open the government up, and let's not hold Americans hostage, especially when they want to travel. That's not the way to do this.
Well, we're going into holiday season. Who here has family? Maybe you are traveling at holiday. You need to go visit your family. They're going to come visit you. You got kids coming in. You got your parents coming in. It is holiday season. This is when people fly, and it's about to get very uncomfortable. People might be missing their flights because of this Democrat shutdown. Now, I want to talk about Trump's angle here with the nuclear option real quick. President Trump is right now, in sort of a way here, President Trump is almost waging a battle of sorts on two different fronts. One, President Trump is trying to get the Democrats to capitulate. Capitulate, Chuck Schumer. It's over. The jig is up. Surrender. Open up the government. That's battle number one. Battle number two, President Trump is trying to convince all of these Senate Republicans to go nuclear. President Trump obviously is not optimistic right now that the Democrats are going to capitulate. They're just stick in the mud right now. They don't care. They're happy to see the country burn down. They couldn't give one crap about that, the Democrats. So President Trump is also not only trying to get the Democrats to open up the government, but also meanwhile, simultaneously, he's saying, listen, Senate Republicans, go nuclear. It's time to go nuclear. It is time to go nuclear. It is time to step up and save the country, because if we don't, the country's going to be gone. And so President Trump is, in a very public way, very publicly, Trump is talking about the nuclear option. He's posting about it all day on Truth Social. He's having big media. He summoned all the senators. It's all broadcast in front of the nation. He's talking about it nonstop in front of everybody publicly. Trump right now is doing something very smart. Trump is waging a public pressure campaign. That's the only way to describe it. He's putting public pressure. He's trying to rile up the base, that's us, to put pressure on these Republican senators. Go nuclear, save the country. Trump knows the Republican senators don't want to do it. At least a couple of them don't want to do it. Trump is saying, all right, hey, if you're not going to do what I say right now and go nuclear, it's pressure time. I'm putting maximum pressure on these Republican senators. I am tweeting about this. I'm posting on True Social about this. I'm talking to Fox News about this. I'm inviting all of you to the White House. They had breakfast yesterday. We're talking about going nuclear 24/7 nuclear. This is a public pressure campaign. And so we're going to see. President Trump started this public pressure campaign, I don't know, probably 2 days ago. We're going to see. Yesterday, we already saw 3 Republican senators already talking about this, saying, yeah, okay, we're willing to go nuclear here. So maybe he's making progress behind the scenes. I hope so. Now, Mr. Easter, this is a $100 super chat. Hold up. I want to put the beautiful White House up here. Get us a nice view. Mr. Easter, he says, that's a big one, by the way. Thank you very much and good morning. Welcome to the show. He says, 656,000 subs. Proverbs 12:22 on spot. Proverbs 12:22 is spot on for you, my brother in Christ. It says, the Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy, who bring us truth each and every day, and people follow you for that. God bless you and your family. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I got a similar compliment yesterday afternoon. Somebody said, Matt, it's been insane that you've been able to make it this far without doing any collaborative content. Because I was talking about someday doing collaborations and interviews. It's been entirely solo, but you know what? It has not. I said it was solo, but it's not. This journey so far, because it's all of you guys. It's not me out here every day in the trenches solo. It's all of you folks every day. It's 656,000 of you. So I want to put it back on you, and thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. You guys know I'm doing my Bible reading every night. I've never read the Bible. I was raised in a secular Portland, Oregon household. Okay. Never went to church, really. I went to Sunday school like probably 5 times when I was a kid with friends of mine. I'm reading the Bible for the first time. I'm reading through the book of Samuel right now. I'm doing cover to cover every night, 45 minutes, read the Bible. I'm on the book of Samuel. So I haven't even made it to the New Testament yet. I'm excited. People are always talking about the Proverbs. I'm excited. But I'm making my way slowly. So thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. You know, while we're doing the super chats, why don't I pull these up and take a look at some of these other ones here? Thank you very much. Thank you again. That means a lot. D. London, he says, the only way the nuclear option will work is for the R's to end it, pass their bills, then reinstate it to a two-thirds majority requirement. You know, I'm not sure if that could be done. So he's saying nuke the nuclear option, pass all of our bills, and then reinstate the nuclear option such that to ever get rid of it again, you would need 60 or 66 senators to get rid of it. I'm actually not sure on the technicality of whether or not you could do that specifically. Maybe so. Maybe so. And maybe that's something they're looking at. And so thank you. Hey, you need to call your senator. You call your senator right now. Thank you. Thank you. And also, hey, KD, thank you very much with the 5 gifted community memberships. I appreciate that. Every time somebody gets a community membership here, they don't have to watch ads on YouTube. And there's a lot of ads on YouTube. So thank you very much. And then finally, there's a big super chat over here on Rumble from Richard. He says, I think they should at least push to pass a bill to make the filibuster law for passing bills before nuking it. If they refuse, and I would say they're planning it themselves. Yeah, these are all the conversations they are having internally right now. Thank you very much. I just hope President Trump is able to put enough pressure on these guys to actually, I'm sorry, folks, permission to say something incredibly controversial. I was thinking about this in the shower this morning, and I want to make sure we're not missing Trump before I get into this very controversial opinion of mine. In fact, I might even lose some viewers. I might make some of you folks mad. It is, frankly, I'm going to go big screen here. It is, frankly, very difficult for me to get excited about midterms. Maybe I don't care about midterms. When the Republican GOP in Congress, the congressional GOP, they're not even listening to Trump, and they're not actively helping him pursue the America First agenda to their fullest maximal capacity. President Trump says, go nuclear. It's time to go nuclear. Pass the bills. Go. And they're sitting on their hands. Pardon me. As long as these guys are not doing their job, as long as these guys are not listening to President Trump, as long as they are, in fact, operating in direct defiance of President Trump, it is difficult for me to care about midterms because they're not even listening to the guy that we put in the White House. Do what President Trump says. Listen to him. We voted for President Trump. Listen to him. We, the people, are saying go nuclear. President Trump is telling you. So we've got the people from the bottom up saying go nuclear. We've got the president from the top down saying go nuclear. And then you've got these Republican senators saying, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Pardon me. It's a little bit hard to care about midterms. I'm feeling a little bit ambivalent about midterms if these guys are not actually going to do the damn job that we are telling them to do and that President Trump's telling them to do. Listen, wake up, go nuclear. We are telling you, Trump is telling you, do it. It is time to save the country. And so all we can do right now, President Trump very clearly, he wants this pressure campaign, maximum pressure. We're doing our job here. We're talking about this every day. We are putting pressure here. If you've got a phone, call your senator, leave a voicemail. You got an email address, type an email to your senator. I don't know. But President Trump very clearly wants pressure here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have some good news today while we're waiting for President Trump to come on out. I'm just making sure we're not missing this. While we are waiting for President Trump to come out here, we got some good news early this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, Nancy Pelosi, 85-year-old Congresswoman, is deciding to retire in 2026. This upcoming midterms, she is not running for election.
Yeah, you as well. Here we go now to Washington. The former House Speaker, leading congressional Democrat Nancy Pelosi, has announced in a video a moment ago that she will not seek re-election. She has represented San Francisco for nearly 40 years. She's 85 years old. The history she has in Washington speaks for itself. She has been a long-range player in the Democratic Party. And you as well.
She's been around for a long time. She has been a member of the Washington, D.C. swamp for a very long time. In fact, little American history lesson. Ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not, this is a young Nancy Pelosi schmoozing with President Kennedy. That is how long she has been a part of this establishment. That is how long she has been in the game, so to speak. This is Nancy Pelosi in her early 20s, I believe, hanging out with Kennedy. You are 85. You are 85 years old. What is the national retirement age? Somewhere between 62 and 65 people generally retire. That's when you can get your Social Security, right? She is 20 years over retirement age. Listen, Grandma, you should... I'm sorry. Listen, relax. Go spend time with your grandkids. Go sip some lemonade on the front porch. Go watch your grandkids run around, like it's time to live your life. You don't need to cling to power this ferociously. Anybody that is this desperate, I can't give up my power, I need my power. Listen, it's a bad sign. So this is good news. She is retiring. Thank God. The Wicked Witch of the West. Her days have come to an end, I suppose. Now, Peter Doocy chimes in. Fox News, what's going on? We're talking about Nancy Pelosi still.
Chatted with President Trump about this breaking news that Nancy Pelosi will be leaving Washington. He tells me the following, and this is a quote. The retirement of Nancy Pelosi is a great thing for America. She was evil, corrupt, and only focused on bad things for our country. She was rapidly losing control of her party, and it was never coming back. I'm very honored. She impeached me twice and failed miserably twice. Nancy Pelosi is a highly overrated politician. And so that is the first word, but definitely not the last word from President Trump about this, because about 90 minutes from right now, we do expect to see him in the Oval Office. The two of them, of course, throughout his entire first term, had historic battles, whether it was over funding, whether it was over his impeachment. The two of them did not get along at all, but like many.
Evil corrupts. I mean, listen, you can tell with a lot of these Democrats, even some Republicans, maybe. We can all think of some examples. When you get addicted to power, it really does. Not only does it corrupt your soul, but it physically malforms you. I'm thinking of Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. You know, whenever Emperor Palpatine, he really, this is when he went from becoming a senator in the Galactic Senate. He became the evil emperor. What happened to his body? He became wrinkly and malformed, and he looked like an evil demon. Power. And this is what happens to some of these Democrats. Nancy Pelosi, this has happened to Chuck Schumer. The evil corrupts the inside of their soul, but also the outside of their body as well. And you can tell maybe Mitch McConnell, evil, not only does it metaphysically corrupt, but it physically corrupts as well. And you can tell, you can look at them, you can say they're evil. Ultimate power. Yeah, okay. Now, I'm taking a look here. Is President Trump live in the Oval Office yet? Not yet. Now, we hear from Hakeem Jeffries, the current House Democrat, House Minority Leader right now. He gives his opinion on Nancy Pelosi stepping down.
You've called former Speaker Nancy Pelosi your mentor. She said this about the President of the United States the other day.
It'll sound like I'm awful about Trump because he's just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah.
This woman is just nasty. Nasty woman.
I do, because he's the President of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States.
A vile creature, the worst thing on the face of the earth.
Nasty woman.
Stand by what your mentor, Congresswoman Pelosi, said about the president.
Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Emerita Pelosi, is a legendary figure, a hero. She's done so much for so many, over so many.
What has she done? What has Nancy Pelosi done other than make $275 million by insider trading, by abusing her position in Congress? Other than rob the country of $275 million, what has she done?
Years. She speaks powerfully. She speaks authentically. She speaks eloquently on issues of importance to the American people.
Even in that moment?
As I indicated, Nancy Pelosi is a legend. She has done more for people here in this country than almost every single American who has served in the House of Representatives. She's a force of nature. She's made a difference in the lives of millions of people, and it's been an honor and a privilege to serve with her over these years that I've spent in Congress.
Little side note here. Hakeem Jeffries, this guy sucks. This guy is terrible. Hakeem Jeffries is just terrible. And you know he, in his mind, he's like, yeah, I'm the next Obama. Someday there's going to be President Hakeem Jeffries. I'm the next Obama. I'm that guy. Hakeem, you suck. Nobody likes you. You're never going to be president. You might not even be in the House much longer. You're going to have to get a job at McDonald's or something. I don't know. No disrespect to anybody that works at McDonald's. I love McDonald's, by the way. Can I tell you a funny story? When I was 18, I tried to get I think I was 17, actually. I tried to get a job at McDonald's. It was going to be my first professional taxable job. I went into McDonald's. I filled out an application when I was 17. I got rejected because I didn't speak Spanish. I said, what the hell's going on here? Listen, can't a white boy in America get a job at McDonald's? What the hell's happening in this country? You turned me down because I'm not speaking Spanish. No hablo español. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. And so anyway, it was on that day I became a Republican. No, I'm kidding. But it was a very traumatic experience. I wasn't even qualified. Literally, I was not qualified to get a job at McDonald's because I did not speak Spanish. It was ridiculous. I tried. I failed. I couldn't even do it. So there's that. There's Hakeem Jeffries. Now, Tim Burchett, he's actually one of the funniest Republican House reps. He said, in response to Nancy Pelosi retiring, he said, well, now where am I going to get my stock tips? Because, there's an entire index. People are copying all of Nancy Pelosi's stock trading moves. People look at what she does. She's buying, she's selling, she's flipping, she's dipping, whatever. And they say, okay, if Nancy Pelosi did it, she's got to know something because she's the number one insider trader in the entire country. So now where are we going to get our stock trading tips? We can't just copy Nancy Pelosi anymore. It's ridiculous. So I thought that was funny. Now, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is set to come on out here any second. I'm just looking at the clock right now. We are 32 minutes behind schedule right now is what we are. I saw good news this morning. So literally any second now, Trump is going to come out. I'm looking at the official White House page. They are not live yet. We had good news this morning. Take a look at this.
ICE announcing it made 1,500 arrests during a 10-day operation in Houston last month. The agency says they nabbed 17 gang members, 40 aggravated felons, one convicted murderer, and 13 sexual predators, along with many other criminal aliens and immigration offenders. That's more than double the arrests made in a similar operation in August.
So real quick, this was in Houston, Texas. 1,500 illegal aliens arrested in a massive roundup. Sexual predators, gang members. So just as a little reminder here, can I get these guys up here on the big screen? Listen, these type of violent, delinquent, sexually predacious, illegal aliens, gang members, terrorists, many of them, these are the people that the Democrats are actively protecting and aiding and abetting and supporting with our taxpayer money. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen, great news. Every time you pay taxes, federal taxes or state level taxes, a lot of that money is going to support and subsidize the existence of these type of people, these people that should not even be in the country. You guys have heard me rant and rave about sanctuary cities and sanctuary states time and time again, but I'm a young guy. I'm 31. I just cannot believe it's almost laughable. Like, it makes me laugh because it's just so insane. How in the hell have these sanctuary cities and sanctuary states been operating with complete and total impunity for this long? How has the sanctuary state and sanctuary city dynamic gotten this bad, this defiant, this openly defiant of federal law, of the will of the American people? How has this situation just gotten to this point where we now have cities and states, entire states, that are refusing to enforce federal immigration law, that are aiding and abetting illegal aliens and far-left domestic terrorists, that are using taxpayer money from actual American citizens like us? They are redistributing it to illegal aliens. They're paying for their food assistance. Guys, in Oregon State, I kid you not, in the state of Oregon, this is my home state, there is a taxpayer-funded first-time home buyer program available for illegal aliens. If you are an illegal alien in the state of Oregon and you want to buy your first house, you've never had a mortgage before, you can get a free $20,000 as a down payment assistance program. You don't even have to pay it back. It's a grant. It's a state taxpayer funded grant program, first time home buyer program in the state of Oregon for illegal aliens so that they can buy a house. This is just intolerable. How in the living hell do we have programs like this in this country? We know why. It's because the Democrats' primary point, this is what the Democrats want. They want to make the lives of actual Americans unaffordable, insane, intolerable. They want you to not us. They want us to not be able to buy a house, raise a family, get a job, and they will do everything they possibly can to keep actual Americans down whilst also taking money out of our pockets and putting it into the pockets of illegal aliens. I've said this before. Listen, this is the mantra. This is the credo here that I want all of you to burn into your brain. Dead or replaced. 3 words. Dead or replaced. That is what the Democrats want for you and for me, all of us actual legitimate American citizens. They want us, what? Dead or replaced. And when you look at everything the Democrats are doing through that lens, through that 3-word lens, dead or replaced, every single thing they do makes total sense. Why did the Democrats open up the border? Well, because they want us dead or replaced. Why are the Democrats taking tax money from us and giving it to illegal aliens? Well, because they want us dead or replaced. It's very simple. Why do we have sanctuary cities where they are aiding and abetting not only illegal aliens, but far left domestic terrorists? Well, because they want us dead or replaced. Sanctuary states, dead or replaced. It's really just very obvious. I think a lot of conservatives maybe are still sitting here thinking, man, why did the Democrats open the border? What's up with these sanctuary states? That doesn't seem to make sense. Why are the Democrats giving taxpayer-funded subsidies to illegal aliens? I just can't make any sense of it. Now, listen, we know the reason. We know the reason. It could not be more obvious. Once again, dead or replaced, dead or replaced. That's it. That's what it is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump's coming on out here any minute. We had Apollo 53620. He said, Timu Obama for Hakeem Jeffries. Timu Obama. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. Timu, I've never actually ordered anything on Timu. Maybe I should, just to see how it is. Maybe I need to order something on Timu. I've never done it. What's the other Chinese wholesale website? It's called, what is it? Alibaba or Alakazam, or there's another one of these Chinese websites. They're selling all this cheap crap. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. No, I'm not going to do it. I shouldn't do it. But now, folks, I'll tell you what, President Trump, listen, okay. Listen, President Trump, we are admittedly about 37 minutes. I don't want to say behind schedule, because really we are on AliExpress, Alibaba, AliExpress. There's a lot of these. We are 38 minutes, maybe behind schedule. We are living on President Trump's time. President Trump is not living on our time, so it's fine. We're having a fun time here anyway. And we do have stuff to talk about. In fact, we have a little bit more we can talk about here with these flight delays. We can talk about the shutdown and how it's impacting our air traffic controllers. Why don't we take a look at this? We've got some more news regarding this entire topic.
They missed a partial payment in early October. They missed a full payment a week and a half ago. This morning, they're getting their pay stubs that they're going to get another big fat zero, no paycheck for the second time. They've all told me it's really hard to navigate a full month of no pay, missing 2 pay periods.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to have more significant disruptions in the airspace. And as we come into Thanksgiving, if we're still in the shutdown posture, it's going to be rough out there, really rough.
Yeah.
And we'll mitigate the safety side, but will you fly on time? Will your flight actually go? That is yet to be seen. But there'll be more disruption. So yeah, would I still book? If there's deals out there, I'd book my flight. I'm flying my kids home from school, Lawrence. I booked those flights last night. Of course, I'm going to book them. But again, we're going to have to all work together as the American people to navigate this really not great situation that I think Democrats in the Senate are putting on the American people with the.
Well, I'll tell you what. So not only is this inconveniencing travelers, all of us travelers that are traveling during Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, but also we're talking about the air traffic controllers specifically. These are federal employees. They've missed half a paycheck and now one entire paycheck. So yeah, there's over 13,000 of them nationwide that are not being paid right now. I'm curious, just curious guy, I guess. What is the average pay of an air traffic controller? Maybe we can get some information here. Okay, the average pay for an air traffic controller in the U.S. is $144,000, $580 per year. That's the annual median. Okay, and so it's a good salary. It's far above national average. That being said, $144,000 in 2025 is not $140 in 1995. You know, you could understand you might have some single parent households or a stay-at-home house. Maybe the dad is the air traffic controller, single income. The wife stays at home. She raises the kids. So single income household. If you start missing a paycheck or two, or God forbid 3 or 4, a lot of households are month to month, paycheck to paycheck. A lot of people don't have a huge repository of savings. Yeah, it's not good. And like we said earlier, with these air traffic controllers, these are very stressful jobs. These are people that we want to be on point. We want them to be attentive and dialed in and not stressed out. It's already a stressful job. If these guys make a little mistake, you're having planes run into each other on the runway, God forbid. So I want our air traffic controllers to not be stressed out. Controversial opinion here. And then we also have another little report talking about the current situation with the air traffic controllers.
What is your expectation of the impact on this from this shutdown on the economy?
Well, I mean, listen, anytime you're having to curtail transportation, which is one of the great advantages we have in the United States, we have this vast internal market, we have great transportation systems and networks and hubs, but when that's hobbled because the Democrats won't open the government, obviously that's going to have an economic impact just on economic activity. I mean, it's just crazy to me. So I'm hoping that we can move forward, that the rational Democrats can, join their few colleagues that have voted for it, and then we can get this government reopened and get the country humming.
Get the country humming. You know, at this point, I really do think that the only option is nuclear. I think we have to go nuclear. I think we do. In fact, I think not only do we need to, but I think we should. That's my opinion for a multitude of reasons. We've talked about that a lot on this show. I want to take a look at some super chats here. Starting here, wir haben ein Deutsch Zuschauer. He says, Gute Besserung from Bayern. I'll tell you something. Bayern is my father-in-law's favorite German football team. You guys know my German is my German is wife. My wife is German. My wife is German. My father-in-law, he's a very German man. He's the most German a man can be living over in Germany. He loves Bayern. So hey, shout out, hey, great. My wife is from Rhineland-Pfalz on the western side of Germany. So great. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I'm happy you're here. We love our Germans over here. Shout out. We have another super chat. Okay, I don't want to miss this one. It's dropping off here. This is from C. Downing. He says, why don't the major airlines get together and play and pay the controllers? It's good for business. You know what? Maybe if this shutdown goes on long enough, we might see something like that. I don't know. Yeah, we might see a dynamic like that unfold. Could be the case. Not a bad idea, maybe. And thank you very much. And then maybe the airlines could be reimbursed after the government reopens. There could be some type of deal like that. Could be the case. You got to call up Sean Duffy. Maybe that's a good idea. Want to make sure I don't miss any of these here. This is from the Gaming Murph. Hold on. I got to start down here. These ones are dropping off. This is from Bruce Rice. He says, based now, we want all the Democrats to vote to reopen the government, not just 5 of them. No shoes, no shirt, no dice. Oh, so now we're moving the goalposts. Now it's not enough to get 5 more, 8 in total. Now we need all of them. We need Chuck Schumer himself to vote to reopen the government. We will take no prisoners. You need to vote. Otherwise, no deal. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe so. Otherwise, we're going nuclear. Not a bad idea. Thank you very much. This is from Tiger Durden. Tiger Durden. I get the reference. I like that reference. He says, if these states can ignore federal law like this, then I'm willing to ignore the IRS next year's tax season, since my money ain't working for me anyway. Yeah, in principle, I agree, but in reality, maybe it's not worth trying. You might not get away with that. Now, I am seeing, ladies and gentlemen, we have some developing news here. The official White House broadcast just went live. This show is getting underway here any moment. Everybody, make sure to like and subscribe the video, the broadcast, the channel, Rumble, YouTube. I want to shout out the Rumble audience, shout out the YouTube audience, everybody. Thank you very much. You know what? Can I say something real quick? I need to do, I'm a terrible self-promoter. I need to say something real quick for you folks. Let me pull this up. I've been trying to get the word out here. I have recently made a second YouTube channel called Matt Morris Clips. every single day on this channel, I am uploading videos like I upload here on this main channel on Rumble and on YouTube, but these videos are shorter. I've had people say, Matt, I love the long broadcasts. I love the 8, 9, 10 minute long videos. You should make some shorter videos in case I don't have 10 minutes to watch a video. Everybody, if you would do me a favor, I'm trying to get this new channel off the ground. It's only got 5,000 subscribers. If you would all do me a favor, and this is every day, daily news updates. So drop a follow, subscribe to that channel. It really would help a lot. You're not getting anything less on this channel. You're just getting more on that channel. So you can't complain too much about it. So I really would appreciate that. Subscribe here, subscribe there. I'm kicking my behind into overdrive here because I know, listen, there's a lot of news to cover. So thank you for that. I think there was another super chat here that I wanted to take a look at real quick. There was this one. This is the one I wanted to look at. And then also Gaming Murph. He says, whatever happened to the Greater Idaho Project? Any new word on it? I wish the Greater Idaho Project would happen. This is where Idaho would absorb Eastern Washington and Eastern Oregon. I think that would be great. That would be great, but it's never going to happen. And the reason why I hate to be the guy that has to preach the gospel of reality here, it's not going to happen. And the reason why is because in order for state lines to be redrawn, you would have to have Idaho state legislative approval, Washington state legislative approval, and the governors of all these states, Oregon state legislative approval, and the governor sign off. So all three states at every single level sign off on that. And then it would go to Congress. You'd have to have the U.S. House of Representatives sign off, U.S. Senate sign off, and the president sign off. It's so complex. It's so cumbersome of a process. Do you think Oregon or Washington are willing to going to give up ground? They're going to give up population and congressional representation to Idaho. Are they going to do that? No. It's never going to happen. If I could snap my fingers and make it happen, oh yeah, in a heartbeat, I would. But it's just not going to happen. I wish it would, though. I really wish it would. I'm with you on that. So thank you. Gaming Murph here says, I'm going to pull up the official White House feed. I don't want to miss a thing. Gaming Murph, he says, my grandparents bought their 5-bedroom house in 1975 for $20,000. I always joke their house cost them a bag of apples and a handshake. It's a tough economy. Tough economy. You know, I think probably the best way to look at the dynamic here is, okay, if in 1975 the average American goes to the average job and gets an average hourly pay, what can you buy in 1975 for the average 1 hour of labor in 1975? And the answer is much more than you can buy for the average hour of labor in 2025. You get less bang for your labor if you convert the labor into money than into what can you buy with that money that you got for that 1 hour of labor. Yeah, your time. The labor time of an average American in 2025 is worth less. You get less bang for your buck than in 1975. And the reason why this has happened is because we've had decades of incompetent leadership. We've had decades of rapid Federal Reserve induced inflation. And we've had decades of countries all over the world, China, numerous others, taking advantage of this country. And our leadership, our incompetent leadership, has sat idly by, and they've just not done anything about it. President Trump is the first president in decades to actually stand up and say, listen, enough is enough. We're going to actually put, crazy idea, we're going to put Americans first. Not just America first, but also the Americans therein first. And thank God somebody had to do it. Thank you, Gaming Murph. This is from Kevin Sankiewicz. He says, the reason why Rhino senators will end the filibuster is to pass the CR to pay the air traffic controller so they can safely fly home for Thanksgiving and then fly safely back to the swamp in D.C. Yeah, funny. Yeah, the second these Rhino Republicans need to go on vacation, on their holiday vacations, they're going to say, okay, enough is enough. Okay, we got to do it. Yeah, that's a funny one. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Man, we really have just one hell of a community. We really do. You guys know that this is a one-man production. This is a one-man operation. We are out here, folks. Every single day, we're live on YouTube uploading videos, and Rumble going live and uploading videos. We are doing the numbers here, the subscribers, the view count, the views. We're doing the numbers here that multi-million-dollar operations are doing. We here, this community, one-man show, we are up there toe-to-toe shoulder to shoulder competing with they've got editorial teams, they've got producers, they've got people working the cameras. They've got, I don't even know what they have. I'm just a guy in my office. And my kids and wife are upstairs having breakfast. and my dog is at the front door barking at the mailman. I'm not even kidding. I hear him. But still, we are toe to toe. And so I want to say thank you all very much. Sincerely, while I have a minute here, because the second President Trump comes on out and starts talking, I'm going to stop yapping so much. I'm going to let the man speak. So I want to say thank you all very much. Before we get into this, thank you all very much for the support, for subscribing to the new channel. Also, I thank you very much, really, sincerely. Thank you. And I apologize for my cough. Now, there is something I want to say. There are a series of topics that President Trump might be talking about today at this Oval Office announcement. Could be talking about the shutdown nuclear option. Could be talking about this new January 6th bombshell news about the pipe bomb attack at January 6th. We have new developments regarding that story. We could be talking about Trump RX. It seems as if Trump is going to try to reduce the price of various fat loss drugs, Ozempic. He's reducing the price of pharmaceutical drugs for Americans nationwide. We might be talking about that today. We're also very likely going to talk about the Supreme Court case regarding Trump's executive authority to leverage trade tariffs. I think we're going to be getting a ruling on that this afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is what I want to say. Regardless of what the main topic of today's announcement is, stick around for the entire show. Because, President Trump, sometimes he comes out here, he talks about one topic for 30 or 45 minutes, and then at the end, he takes questions from the media for another 30 or 45 minutes. So I don't know, conceivably, if Trump comes out here and he's talking about Ozempic, and you say, man, I don't care about Ozempic. Well, keep in mind, once he's done talking about Ozempic, or in this hypothetical, he's going to be talking to the media, taking questions for 35 or 40 minutes, and then he will be talking about some of the stuff that you care about, that we all care about. Nuclear option, January 6th, this pipe bomb attack, Supreme Court case, whatever else. So I would say stick around for whatever we're talking about today. Who knows? They never actually tell us. Whatever they're talking about, stick around for the entire show. And then, of course, at the end, we're going to do a total recap, breakdown of all of it. So I have to say, personally, I really love doing these live coverage events whenever President Trump or Carolyn Levitt or whatever, they come up here and they have a big announcement. I love doing these shows because I think it's a great opportunity to talk to you guys and hang out. During my regularly scheduled evening, afternoon broadcasts, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Western, that's kind of the regular show. During those shows, they are a little bit more monologue. There's a little bit less of a back and forth and a dialogue between us. So I like having these broadcasts in the morning sometimes, because we really get to kind of talk and relax a little bit. Now, I see this big super chat from Chicken Newbull over here on YouTube. He says, Matt, look up the rent increase versus pay increase over the last couple decades. Wages are stagnant, but property increased tenfold. It's all the old boomers in your audience that screwed us. Okay, well, I think it's a very complex situation. In fact, can I tell you something here? What has happened since President Trump has gotten back in the White House over the last 9 months? We have seen housing prices for the first time in 4 years stagnate. They're not only not going up, housing prices across the country, they're actually going down. Housing is getting just a little bit more affordable. The trend has gone down. The curve has tapered off. So what happened during the Joe Biden era, when we saw housing prices across this country absolutely skyrocket? Why did that happen? Might it have something to do with the 25 million illegal aliens that invaded our country? Yeah, that's why. These people have to live somewhere. These people are buying houses. They're getting first-time home buyer assistance in radically progressive states like Oregon. All of these illegal aliens, they're not living under a bridge. They're not living downtown, under a bridge. They are renting. They are buying houses in sanctuary states. This is one of the reasons why housing prices and rental prices just over the last 4 years, of course, it's a long-term trend, of course, but it skyrocketed during the Biden era. And now Trump is in the White House and housing prices are kind of stabilizing, if not going down in some places. That's a good thing. I guess if you're trying to sell your house right now, maybe it's not a good thing for you. But if you're a young American trying to start a family and buy a house or get into a rental right now, it is for the first time in a very long time, you have a little bit of a reprieve. It's not enough. We need more, but a little bit of a reprieve. Thank you, Chicken Nooble. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I want to say this is Neil Russell, 1999 super chat in YouTube. He says, thank you. Thank you. Hey, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have Hexorcist over here on YouTube. He says, President Trump should troll the Democrats and tell them he doesn't want to pass the CR since they do the opposite of whatever he wants. You think he can reverse psychology, these Democrats? Here's what I think. I think we should just cut the baloney. I almost said something else. We should cut the baloney and just go nuclear. That's what we should do. I see this comment says, Matt, grow some balls and start calling out Trump and Republicans for not delivering. Dude, where have you been? Do you even watch my broadcast? I spend pretty much every day calling out the GOP and the rhinos. In fact, like 90 minutes ago, less, because I've only been live for 70 minutes. A half hour ago, must have been, I was saying it's a little bit hard for me to care about midterms and supporting all these congressional Republicans when they are refusing to do what President Trump says, when they are refusing to go nuclear. It's a little bit hard for me to care about these Senate Republicans when they are refusing to listen to President Trump and go nuclear. Listen, do your job. Listen to President Trump. If you don't listen to Trump, if you don't listen to us, the American people, we've got a dynamic here where the American people, we are saying, hey, Senate Republicans, go nuclear. We got to save the country. And we are having President Trump top down say, hey, Senate Republicans, go nuclear. It's time to save the country. And meanwhile, the Senate Republicans are sitting on their hands, not going nuclear. So I'll be honest, it's a little bit hard for me to care about midterms or get excited about midterms when the Senate Republicans are literally not listening to us and when they are literally not listening to President Trump. He has been very explicit. Go nuclear. So, hey, maybe I don't agree if that critique is totally on point. I think it's not. Listen, this is Super Chat DeBlanco. Thank you very much. I appreciate that Super Chat. Says, Matt, I heard Scamdani say we will be seizing the means of production. That's when I knew he is dangerous. Take from those that we have buildings and give it to those that do not. Welcome to New York. I mean, yeah, this is not a surprise. The guy is a communist. The guy is literally a communist. In fact, he's an anti-white communist. He has said, not only are we going to pursue our communist agenda in New York City, but the way that we are going to fund our third world brand communist agenda, we're going to increase taxes on white people specifically. I kid you not. He said specifically, we are going to look to increase taxes specifically on white people to fund the New York communist utopia, the utopia. So yeah, you know what? But he won. The guy won. Now I want to highlight something real quick. Had Joe Biden not allowed 25 million illegal aliens into this country when he was president, people like Mamdani would not be winning elections right now. The reason why Mamdani won this election is solely and exclusively a result of Joe Biden's open border. And this is the MO of the Democrats. This is their long-term longitudinal goal. They want to open up the border, allow in tens of millions of third world immigrants, some legal, some illegal. Joe Biden, listen, there is an uncomfortable conversation we need to have also that maybe some people aren't ready for. Legal immigration in some regards is a problem also. Not only do we need to completely shut down illegal immigration, but not all legal immigration is okay. We should not tolerate all legal immigration. Okay? I don't want to accept 1 million Somalians into this country legally. That is still a problem. The problem is not really, if you want to get nitty-gritty, the problem of the immigration crisis is technically not the legality of the dynamic. It's the people of the dynamic. We don't have a problem with German immigrants. We don't have Germans or Swedes or, Norwegian immigrants coming in the country and ruining the country. No, The problem is immigrants from the third world, whether they are legal or illegal, regardless of their legal status, that is the problem. Okay. And so not only did Joe Biden open up the border and allow 25 million illegal immigrants. Listen, dude, you got to stop spamming the chat. I don't know who's doing this. Stop. Hey, stop spamming the chat. I see this. I got to pause my monologue. Don't do that. Stop doing that. Anyway, I totally lost my train of thought, but listen, yeah. The United States of America had an immigration policy between, I want to say 1924 and 1965. Yes, I'm checking my memory here. The Immigration Act of 1924, which was in effect until 1965. You want to know what this did? We all talk about the American glory days, the 1950s, the 1960s. It was awesome. Let's talk about the immigration policy that we had during that time frame. Well, during that time frame, in accordance with the 1924 Immigration Act, we completely shut off, like literally, you can go read the legislation. We cut off all immigration from every country on this planet other than Europe. We accepted immigrants from European countries, Latin America, no, Africa, no, Middle East, no, even Asia, no. Our immigration for a good 40 years, and even predominantly before that also, was exclusively from Europe. And then even then, there was a 2% national quota for those European countries. Let me give you an example. If in 1953, America had living inside of it 100,000 immigrants from Germany, every single year, the country only accepted 2,000 new immigrants from Germany. Okay, it was a 2% quota. And the goal of this, so if we had 100,000 immigrants from Sweden living in the country, we only accepted 2,000 new Sweden immigrants every single year. It was a 2% quota for countries only from Europe. All immigration from everywhere else was shut down. And the goal here was to maintain the national demographics. We wanted the demographics of America to remain the same and not change. This was gotten rid of with the Hart-Celler Act in 1965. You might have noticed in 1965, that's when things really kind of took a turn for the worse in this country. For a multitude of reasons, the country really started kind of going downhill in a lot of ways. Well, probably the number one way is because the demographics of the country changed. The country fundamentally changed. It did. In 1965, at the point that this immigration policy was changed, this country was demographically 90% ethnically European. It was 90% European ethnically speaking, and now it is 51 or 52, 54 at most, depends on what survey you look at. The country, listen, if you were, oh, here we go, folks.
So today I'm thrilled to announce that
Here we go.
two world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturers, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, have agreed to offer their most popular GLP-1 weight loss.
Second here, folks.
I call it the fat drug, remember? At drastic discounts. They're very effective drugs. And so far, I've never heard anything bad about them. I only hear good about them. It's pretty. Is there anything bad about them, Bobby? I don't know. I haven't heard anything bad.
We have better audio here.
Two world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturers.
There we go.
Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have agreed to offer their most popular GLP-1 weight loss drug. I call it the fat drug, remember? At drastic discounts. They're very effective drugs. And so far, I've never heard anything bad about them. I only hear good about them. It's pretty. Is there anything bad about them, Bobby? I don't know. I haven't heard anything bad. Someday, maybe it'll come out, which will notify you immediately. But so far, I haven't heard that, including the drugs known as Zepbound and Wegovy, often called Ozempic. This is a triumph for American patients that will save lives and improve the health of millions and millions of Americans. Amazing thing. They are amazing. I want to thank Eli Lilly CEO David Ricks, a friend of mine. We've worked long and hard. He and I got this whole thing started in a way. And Novo Nordisk CEO Mike Dustar for joining us today. Great, talented people. They make a lot of money. I looked at the money, but they're entitled to the money because the companies are doing very well. along with Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary Howard Lutnick. Do you take any of this stuff, Howard?
Not yet.
Okay, good. CMS Administrator.
There we
Leonard
go.
Oz, he doesn't take it.
Thank you.
Food and Drug Administrator. Commissioner Marty McCary, and Director of Medicare, Chris Klump. And we have Steve, where's Steve? Is he here? Head of Public Relations for the White House. He's taking it. The United States is just 4% of the world's population and consumes only 13% of all prescription drugs, yet pharmaceutical companies make 75% of their profits from the American customer. I would say that's not so good, right? It's not exactly great. To address this chronic unfairness, I signed an executive order earlier this year instructing my administration to do everything in our power to implement most favored nations drug pricing, something that has been helped greatly by tariffs, because when nations refuse to do it, we should have put this in the case yesterday. I just say, well, if you're not going to do it, we're going to charge you a like amount of tariffs. And they immediately say, we'll do it, which means that Americans should pay no more than the lowest price offered anywhere in the world. So that you've heard for years the disparity where you'll pay $150 for a pill in New York and you'll pay $10 for a pill in London. Now you're going to pay $20 both, because the world is a little bit bigger than the U.S., so it goes up that way. But you'll pay $20 and $20. A tremendous advantage to our country after years of being abused by the world system. Already Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and EMD, Serono, have agreed to drastically lower their prices for American patients. And today, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are joining the phenomenal list of the most exciting announcements. I mean, nobody's ever had announcements like, and this has to do with other pharmaceutical products also. But we're covering this today because it's such a big seller, because it's the #1 selling thing there is today. These are two companies that behind the groundbreaking weight loss drugs that have helped millions of Americans struggling with obesity live better, longer lives, everything else. These are the two companies that really broke ground. Until now, neither of these two popular drugs have been covered by Medicare for weight loss, and they've only rarely been covered by Medicaid. They've often cost consumers more than $1,000 per month, and some a lot more than that. Americans have been spending as much as 520% more for Zepbound and 1,400% more for Wegovy than patients in Europe. Think of that.
Wow.
1,400% more than a patient in Europe for the exact same box. And that ends starting today. The other countries are not happy with us. Now, I don't think they like me too much, Bobby, but that's okay. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are committing to offer Zepbound and Wegovy at most favored nations rates for American patients. This will slash the cost of Wegovy from $1,350 a month to ultimately $250 a month. $1,350 to $250. Did I do a good job? They don't write about it. You know, they like to not write these things. And reduce. You think Biden could have done this? I don't think so. And reduce the monthly cost of Zepbound from $1,080 to $346.
Yeah.
In addition, they're both committing that future GLP-1 weight loss drugs taken orally, which are currently under development, will be sold at no more than $149 per month. It's a massive. Think of that. You go from $1,300 to $149 a month. We anticipate these new versions will be coming out in a very short period of time. All of these drugs will be available directly to the consumer at TrumpRx.gov. Trump, they want to use my name. Trump, it better be good. TrumpRx.gov. And I think it's turning out to be pretty amazing, right, us? Just as significantly, Medicare and Medicaid will finally cover the cost of these weight loss drugs for millions of patients suffering from obesity. Co-pays for Medicare patients will be as low as $50 This is tremendous savings. I mean, now you're talking about from $1,350 to $50. This is tremendous news for the American seniors. And you all remember when I had 1/8 of 1% for the year. I cut it 1/8, and I was so thrilled. But now we're cutting it 1,000%, 1,200%. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Nobody else could have done it, but I say that modestly. In addition, you think it was easy dealing with these people? It wasn't. You think it was easy saying your drug, Mr. Eli Lilly, that we're selling for $1,300 is going to be sold for $250? You know the amazing thing, the stocks all went up. I mean, these guys they're fantastic. Because it's going to equalize the world. The world's a bigger place, and it's going to equalize. I was a little surprised to see that, but I'm happy about it. In addition, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have agreed to provide all of their other medications to Medicaid at most favored nations prices. Most favored nations, meaning that you will pay the lowest price anywhere in the world. That's what you're going to pay. Whereas before they paid low prices and we paid, thousands of percentile ahead more. And to sell these drugs to all consumers at deeply discounted prices via TrumpRx.com. When is TrumpRx.com opening?
The site is open. It will launch in terms of giving people prices before the end of the year.
Okay.
That's
make
big.
sure it's successful. It's got my name
There
on
you
it.
go. That's big news.
I don't want to be like so many others. I don't want to be like the train they're building in California. Okay, which has about a
Trump RX.
15,000% cost overrun. Or the beautiful Obama building that he's building in Chicago for the museum, which is now shuttered up and dead. They got it up, and they couldn't finish. It's about, would you say, 5 years behind schedule? And about 2,000% over budget. Then he tells us how to run
Newsom.
Medicaid. Many of the most widely used drugs will be available for 60% off, or even more than that. In addition, all new medications introduced by Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to the American market will be sold at the heavily reduced most favored nations price. Most favored nations price, that's the best. Because they have been thousands of percent lower than what we were selling in many cases. Furthermore, Eli Lilly is investing $27 billion. That's all. And Novo Nordisk will invest $10 billion. That's all. That's peanuts. In the United States to reshore, do a big domestic manufacturing job in the facilities they're going to spend. So Eli Lilly spent $27 billion. Novo is spending $10 billion in the United States. So they're building new plant and equipment. That's part of what will be $20 or $21 trillion this year. There's never been anything like it. I know nobody talks about it, but there's never been anything like, I would say, you would say, that there's never been anything like this ever, whether it's China or Europe, or you could take all of Europe, there's never been anything like this. So we're already past 17 trillion. We're going to be, I think by the time the year closes out, we'll have investments of over $21 trillion based on the way we're going. And by the way, tariffs are very important. Without tariffs, perhaps it could be a little bit different, to put it mildly. Tariffs are so important. The decision in the Supreme Court would be devastating to our country if we got a negative, devastating if we got a negative decision. But this is a great day for American health and healthcare, and for all of American patients. These are things that are miracles to have this happen. And we're bringing all our medicines, again, because of tariffs, we're bringing all our medicines. If you remember where during COVID, we made almost no medicine here. We had to go to China, we had to go to Ireland, we had to go to other places, UK, to get our medicine. We didn't make it here. Now we're making it, we'll soon be making it all here, again, because of tariffs. And my election, but because of tariffs much more.
Yep.
For years, politicians have talked about making health care affordable, but my administration is actually doing it. Americans deserve the best health care in the world, and we're now getting the best health care at the lowest price. So I'd like to ask somebody who's doing a fantastic job, Secretary Kennedy, to say a few words, followed by Dr. Oz, Dr. Klump, and then Eli Lilly, CEO David Ricks, and Novo Nordisk CEO Mike Dustar. These are incredible stars in that business. Like Dustar is a big star. And I can tell you that David Ricks is one of the hottest people in the world in business, but the business that he's in is pharmaceutical. And the job he's done with Eli Lilly is incredible. Both of these gentlemen, they really are stars in the truest sense. And it's an honor to have you in the White House. And go to it, Bobby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start by thanking you, Mr. President, for declaring war on chronic disease in this country. This is something no American president has ever done. If we want to solve the chronic disease crisis, we have to tackle obesity. Obesity is the #1 driver of chronic disease. 50% of our adult population are obese or overweight, and it drives about 50% of healthcare costs in this country. Diabetes, cardiac diseases, we are going to see a decline because of this historic agreement. We're going to see a decline in costs, but also, more importantly, in the afflictions themselves. President Trump is the friend of the forgotten American. Obesity is a disease of poverty, overwhelmingly. And these drugs have only been available for people who have wealth. At one point, the majority of prescriptions, the highest concentration of prescriptions in this country, was the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And what about the people who live in rural areas, who live in food deserts? What about the people in urban areas who live in food deserts and are suffering from obesity and are locked into that system where they can only get ultra-processed foods, which are aggravating the problem? This will be a lifesaver to them. It's not a panacea. It's not a silver bullet. President Trump has also instructed us to address and end the root causes of chronic disease. And
yeah, man, that's me upside down.
To release dietary guidelines that are going to change the food culture in this country. They're going to change the kind of food the military gets. They're going to change the kind of food that our children get. We're releasing those in December. The Presidential Council for Physical Fitness is going to get more Americans into, particularly our children, into physical activity so that we can attack the root causes of this. But in the meantime, there's nothing more important than we can do than lower this price. As I said, it is the #1 cost of all drugs. This is the biggest drug in our country. That's why this is the most important of all the MFN announcements we've made. This is going to have the biggest impact on the American people. All Americans, even those who are not on Medicaid and Medicare, are going to be able to get the same price for their drugs, for their GLP drugs. This happened because of the vision of David Ricks, of Mike Dustar, and the other people, and the people on our team who figured out a way to align the interests of the shareholders of their company with the health of the American public. And it is a momentous accomplishment. It took months and months of negotiations. And I had a wonderful conversation with Mike Dustar about his experience. And he thanked me for the caliber of people who are on our side of the negotiating team. Chris Klump, who walked away from $1 billion business in order to join this administration. Emma Hernandez, David Brooks, and of course, Dr. Oz and Marty McCary, who made this happen. They saw that this could be a win-win situation, that this was not a zero-sum game. The Biden administration tried to solve this problem unsuccessfully, I might add, by throwing $40 billion at it. And they were able to achieve an agreement that will actually create savings for the American public. So we're making all of this available at a savings, and that's because the price of diabetes prescriptions is also going to drop. And the savings that we get from that are now going to make it available to people who do not have diabetes. People who have a BMI of 27 and above, or pre-diabetic, or have heart disease risks, they will be able to get it, but everybody will be able to get this drug, and it's going to change. We will lose, the American public, because of this agreement, will lose 125 million pounds by this time next year.
Wow.
It is going to have dramatic effects on human health in this country.
It's a lot of pounds.
And I want to thank President Trump for his leadership. He said that I'd gotten a lot done as HHS secretary, but almost none of that is due to my ability. It's because I'm surrounded by people who are smarter than me, who are more able than me, and those people came into the administration because they were inspired by President Trump. People like Chris Klump are here because they see this.
Do you think they are smarter than you?
Yeah. Believe me, they're a lot smarter than I am.
Tell them to take that job. He doesn't really mean that he's being modest.
It is true, unfortunately.
It's a beautiful thing.
But I want to thank you, Mr. President, because you've made me a success here by allowing me to attract these extraordinary people. And I want to again thank David Ricks, who we've been in this Oval Office again and again. You keep saying he's the smartest guy in industry, that he could talk a dog off a meat truck. But they came to the table, and Mike Newstart told me, he said,
Convinced people for 20 years that it was okay for Europe to pay $10 and for America to pay $140. That's why they make $45-50 million a year. He did. Finally, I said, I've had it, right?
You did.
He did. But anybody could do that, they're entitled. But now it's down to what it should be.
and Mike Newstart told me what a pleasure it was to negotiate with people who were smart, who had common sense, who were able to put themselves in his position and hammer out this deal that is good for everybody. And it's great for the American public. I want to close again by just saying that this is a tool in the toolkit. It is not a silver bullet. It is an arrow in our quiver. It will allow a lot of people who are locked into high-risk obesity to finally lose weight, to reset, and then start doing the kind of things that will address the root causes of obesity.
There you have it.
So I want to thank these extraordinary CEOs for sticking with us on this, for allowing us to make this happen. Mike Newstart said to me, he said, we've known we've had to do this for many years. We just haven't been able to get over the edge, and that this, President Trump's order, his executive order, was a catalyst to do something that we always knew needed to be done. So again, thank you for your vision, for your commitment, and thank you to all the CEOs and all of my team for making this historic agreement happen.
Bobby, you haven't changed your view on Tylenol for women that are pregnant?
No. As I said,
because there were some false reports out about Tylenol that Bobby changed his view. I don't think he's changed his view.
I'm not going to change until the science changes, and the science does not look like it's changing. It's getting stronger and stronger.
Don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant.
We recommend is that pregnant mothers, talk to their physicians, that the mothers of small kids talk to their physicians, and we've advised the physicians to reduce the thresholds and to reduce the amount of Tylenol that they give to children as much as possible, and only use it when it's absolutely critical.
Thank you.
So we're going to go through some of the deal points, but it does make itself clear that the real stake here is the forgotten man. President Trump, I believe you won the election because you remember the forgotten man. You speak to them, they hear you, they listen to you, and he connects well because he actually does things that materially change their lives. Secretary Kennedy spoke passionately, as he always does, about the problems with obesity. And just to put some very fine point numbers on this, obesity itself is responsible for half of all chronic disease and definitely generates more than a quarter of all the money we spend out of CMS, the $1.75 trillion that we spend annually. We need to address this tempest of dramatically increasing prices for healthcare, and you're not going to do it just by throwing money at the problem. You have to actually literally deal with the causes of the increase in price, and pharmaceutical prices are a part of that. They've been a part of it for a long time, but this president insisted that we address it. In fact, the first time I heard this directly from you, sir, was in January at Mar-a-Lago, where he took Secretary Kennedy, myself, Mr. Ricks, who you'll hear from in a second, to dinner, and demanded explanations for most favored nation pricing and what's wrong with it. And there was not a good reason against it. Now, MAHA is critical. America will have to get fit in order to right-size the healthcare system, and MAHA has the answers. It has obesity management through diet and exercise and sleep and dealing with issues related to that. And I want to say it as clear as I can. Obesity is not an absence of GLP-1 drugs. We're all clear on that. But as Secretary Kennedy said, it is an arrow in our quiver that we must use and should use. The MAHA movement means making it easier for the right things to happen, easier for you to be healthy. If you're sitting at home and watching, that's what MAHA means to me. Reducing costs of the number one most expensive medicine category in our country for Americans does just that. It is as MAHA as it gets. Today's the fourth MFN. President Trump highlighted the first three. Leading U.S. company, leading European company. We've dropped infertility drugs, so we'll make lots of Trump babies, I'm hoping, by the midterms. But it's really about fairness. Fundamentally, it's fairness in pricing to Americans who have been getting ripped off, paying 3 times more than their European counterparts for the exact same product made in the same factory, in the same bottle, in the same packaging. We shouldn't be paying 3 times more, and we are no longer doing that. Fairness to the forgotten man also means dealing with the reality that they can afford a life-saving, life-changing drug that 10% or more of affluent Americans take, but folks without means can't manage it. Secretary Kennedy mentioned New York City. The number one zip code is the Upper East Side, which is where you have property. And folks who know ritzy areas buy important real estate there because those real estate properties are worth a lot there. That should not be the number one zip code in America for purchasing GLP-1 drugs. It speaks to the fact that we have an inherently, innately unfair system that penalizes folks who can use these medications the most, folks in the Rust Belt. Now, what are you supposed to do the right thing to do for your health is right there, but you can't afford to get it. Folks need to be able to utilize these life-saving medications, and being fair about its distribution is essential. And we are democratizing access to these medications and dealing with a moral imperative to make sure that all Americans have access to avoiding all the obesity-related complications by making sure they can afford, if they do things right, not just MAHA-appropriate interventions, but also medications like this. In fact, we think these deals, and this part's very important, we believe these deals within 2 years, by the time the ink dries on these contracts that were signed earlier today, within 2 years, based on our health improvements, we will be budget neutral. These drugs will not cost us money. The American taxpayers will be getting their money back. That's how important it is for us to reduce the costs of healthcare in this country, especially when it's due to preventable problems like obesity. In addition, we have an update, Secretary Kennedy. We thought it was 125 million pounds. Mr. President, our estimate, based on the company numbers as well, is Americans will lose 135 million pounds by the midterms. But I don't measure it in pounds. I measure it in saved lives.
That's a lot of fat.
People can sleep again because they can breathe as when they go to bed. Folks whose knees don't hurt. People who don't have heart attacks, renal failure, dementia, all the things we know are associated with obesity and much more. This wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the right tools and had the ability with a team that has been spoken of early. So I want to call out Abe Sutton. He's in the back right there. He leads the CMS Innovation Center. It made the deal possible. And they are announcing today a brand new model aimed at getting to the vulnerable populations amongst us these medications. The forgotten man will be able to afford these drugs now. Governors will be thanking President Trump. They should be calling directly, sir, because they're going to be able to afford Medicaid next year in ways unimaginable, and they will stop crowding out education and other civil services. We cannot be a wealthy nation without being a healthy nation. That's why today's MFN deal is a historic step forward for all America, and this is something that I don't think is partisan. There is no way you can argue against what just happened. These numbers to my side here, Texas Administrator McCary, who's been instrumental in this process as well, $1,350 baseline. Chris Klump will go through the numbers, but just focus on that $245, which is what he's going to point you to. And Chris Klump has been an unbelievable leader, an innovator. You've heard his name before. He's spoken here before, but he is continuing to change the face of CMS. And I love the fact that with his leadership, we're bringing a lot of wonderful people in. Inma Hernandez has been mentioned, John Brooks as well, and many others, including Beth Kelly, who runs the legal issues around these issues, because these guys are barracudas, Mr. President. They will take you down, slice you in little bits. Howard's been there. It's no longer happening. You've got sharp folks. We're open for business. It's a generational opportunity to serve, and people are showing up. God bless you. Let me introduce now Chris Klump, who is just makes my life easier every day. I'm so proud of him.
All great deals are rooted in principles. We've talked about this before, and today we're announcing another truly great deal. I love this deal, and it's rooted in the principle of potential. This is about unlocking the full potential of every American, the grandmother, the grandfather, the father, the son, by unlocking access to affordable life-saving medications that make a meaningful difference in their lives when they need them most. That's what today delivers. It's a deal built on principle for people, for the American people, and backed by policy that works. So the most important step to getting healthy is believing that your life has value, that God meant for each of us to have purpose and joy and to live fully. And to do that, we must be good stewards of our body. And the president has been fighting to provide another tool to do just this and enable this. And it's my pleasure to get to outline the contours of the deal today.
Okay.
So first and foremost, customary with the three prior announcements, all of the customary most favored nation terms that you've grown familiar with apply to these two deals. So this is actually deals 4 and 5. Full Medicaid portfolios today at most favored nation prices. Shared savings from existing drug prices in Europe deployed back to the United States. All primary care drugs at U.S. net prices or most favored nation prices available on Trump Rx before the end of the year. And most importantly, all future drug launches across commercial, Medicaid, Medicare, and the cash markets at most favored nation prices going forward. Now, GLP-1s. So first, under this agreement, starting doses of oral GLP-1s will cost just $149 a month for everyone. That's roughly 1/8 the cost of the list price today. For Medicare, manufacturers are voluntarily reducing their prices for GLP-1s currently used for diabetes and other covered indications to $245 per month across all doses. The savings generated from this change in prices will be used to provide new coverage to obesity and those who struggle with obesity and also have high metabolic or cardiovascular risk. Again, all for the same $245 a month. That means Americans struggling with diabetes and obesity, with heart disease, or other chronic conditions can access these life-changing drugs more affordably. Medicare patients, importantly, will only pay $50 a month for a copay. This is a massive reduction from what happens today. For Medicaid, Novo and Lilly have agreed to extend the same new low government pricing to all 50 state Medicaid programs should they opt in. And we encourage them to opt in. And these will be available not just for diabetes and current covered indications, but also for obesity again. And in case you're getting tired of me saying it, at the same price of $245 a month, all covered doses. On Trump Rx, the average price of injectables and orals will start at $350 on average. That's compared to roughly $500 today. And that will trend down to, you guessed it, the same $245 a month over the next 24 months. That is 1/5 of the list price. It is 1/2 of the best price in the United States today. We're hoping, Mr. President, that your friend who has to travel to England to afford these drugs will no longer need to do so and can come and do it in the United States. I'll also just mention that the $149 is $1 less than what you asked us to achieve. Just gonna make sure that's clear. So I want to highlight two other really important points that make me love this deal so very much. First, this isn't about spending more, it's about spending smarter. The savings from the diabetes drug price reductions are being used in a cost-neutral way to fund the new indications for taxpayers. That's amazing, and that happens inside of that same 24-month period. It's cost-neutral. We're spending the money more wisely. But second, this isn't just about lower drug prices for Americans, though it does do that, but together with physical activity, with healthy eating and diet, and where appropriate, the use of breakthrough GLP-1s, the real return on investment is healthier Americans, lower chronic disease, lower costs. we estimate by tens of billions of dollars a year. And most importantly, higher productivity. Today is about freeing Americans from the weight, literally and figuratively, that holds us back. It's about unlocking the potential of every citizen to live fully, to contribute fully, and to find joy in their health. We cannot reach our full potential as a nation if we do not reach our full potential as individuals. And we cannot reach our full potential as individuals if we are not healthy. Thanks to Nova and Lilly for showing up so constructively over the last several months to make this possible. In particular, thanks to you, Mr. President, for again demonstrating that you fight for every American, this time for potential. It's now my sincere pleasure to first introduce Dave Ricks from Lilly and then Mike Dustar from Nova.
Great. Thank you, Chris. It's truly an honor to be here today for this historic step forward to expand access to a class of medications that can fundamentally change the arc of chronic disease in our country. Of course, these are the incretin or GLP-1 agonist that we've been speaking about. For nearly 150 years, my company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, are you okay? Gordon, you okay?
That guy is having a health issue. Oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh my good Lord.
Okay. Let's take a break. Yeah.
Wow. I'm trying to make sense of that. I can imagine if you're standing there, if your knees are locked, your blood flow isn't circulating properly. He's an older guy. It probably was a bit too much to have him stand there for 45 minutes. Honestly, standing too long. That's terrible. Did they cut the Associate Press feed? They just cut that feed. Oh, YouTube, sometimes you're killing me. Associate Press. So they have cut back outside of the White House. Wow, that's terrible. It looked to me. Can I play that back, folks? I'm going to play that back here actually.
This deals and figuratively.
It looked to me like his eyes were still open. Like he hadn't fainted. I think his eyes were still open. Okay, I'm going to play this back right here, folks. Everybody pay attention.
Speaking about. For nearly 150 years, my company, Eli
Stand by
Lilly,
here.
has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, are you okay? Gordon, you okay?
So this is terrible. I really feel bad. I don't know. I think we're all empathetic. So he's still, his eyes are still open. He's still open right there. His eyes are open. He's conscious, I guess. But his legs just give out. Sometimes you see this with you've seen videos, members of the military that are standing at attention, and they stand there for hours and hours and hours in the hot sun, and they faint or they pass out. He's a little bit of an older guy too. That's terrible. Yeah, and you can see Dr. Oz, boom. Dr. Oz, boom, he's going in. If there's ever a room to have a medical emergency, I mean, you want to be around these guys. You got the White House medical staff, of course.
Yeah.
Press out. Press. We're going. Thank you, press. Cameras. We're done rolling. Cameras.
And so look what they know what to do. They're holding his feet up, getting blood back into the brain. You can see that they know exactly what maneuver to do here. Watch what they do. So they hold his neck, they get him down on the floor, make sure it doesn't bonk his head on anything.
Press out. Press. We're going.
And Dr. Oz is the one that initiates that. Thank God Dr. Oz was in the room. Dr. Oz is doing it all. Dr. Oz has his hand on his neck. He puts him down gently. Dr. Oz holds up his legs. That's his hand coming up under there. Thank God Dr. Oz was in the room. That man knows what to do. God bless Dr. Oz. He's just taken charge of the situation. No, we don't know if it was a seizure or a blood clot or a heart attack. We don't know. We don't know.
Thank you, Russ.
This just happened.
Cameras, we're done rolling. Cameras.
Oh man, I pray that he's okay. Really, I pray. Hang in there. Hang in there, man. No, I'm not sure exactly who he was, what his name is. Does anybody know his name? I imagine if I quickly take a look at Twitter here, I'm sure I will find this. I just want to see who he was or what company he was representing. Gordon was his name. Thank you for catching that. Prayers to Gordon. Novo Nordisk executive Gordon Findlay. So Gordon Findlay, he's an executive of Novo Nordisk. I guess I'm. Well, I don't think that's him. I'm on LinkedIn. This is Gordon Findlay's Novo Nordisk. I don't think that's him. That's a different guy. I think that's a different guy. Or maybe not. Well, now I'm not sure. Anyway, so what they did, I will, in case some of you did not see this, you think it is Gordon Findlay? Okay. That is him. Maybe it's just an older photo. He looks a little bit different now. You know, that could be the case. I suppose that's the case. So I'll play this again. I'll show you what happened here.
But today we... Oh, you okay? Gordon, you okay?
So he's having some health issue. Man, this is so terrible. Really, his eyes are open. He comes down. His legs give out.
Yeah.
Thank God. Dr. Oz rushes over. Thank God for Dr. Oz. Look at this guy. This is the exact type of guy you want to have in the room. Puts his hand under his head, make sure the head comes down easily, and then he's going to lift up his legs.
Press out. Press. We're going.
Lift up the legs. Get the blood flowing back up to the brain.
Cameras, we're done rolling.
Check on him. Wow. That's terrible. Yeah. Prayers for him. Prayers for him. And also, once again, thank God for Dr. Oz being there. Gordon Findlay, PhD, MBA, product planning, strategic marketing, global marketing for Novo Nordisk. 20 years of global leadership in new product planning, commercial strategy, marketing, and launch excellence at Novo Nordisk and Pfizer. So that's who this guy is. That's his background. He's a big pharmaceutical executive. Stroke could be a stroke, aneurysm, heart attack. You know, we were saying earlier that sometimes if you stand straight up for too long, if you lock your knees, your blood flow cuts off, you get lightheaded, you pass out. This happens. We've all seen videos of people doing like that. When I think of this happening, I think of military men that are standing at attention for too long in like the hot sun, and they lock their knees and they faint or they pass out because of restricted blood flow. That's a very easy thing. You see that all the time. So hopefully this was not anything serious. Hopefully. That's terrible. What a terrible way to end that announcement. Normally at the end of these broadcasts, Trump will take questions from the press. We were going to hear news about all this stuff that's going on in the country beyond Ozempic this most favored nation status price reduction for Ozempic and other GLP-1 drugs. But the event got cut short. Terrible. Nothing you can do about it. We're all human. Once again, shout out Dr. Oz for real. Yeah. This could be, all things considered, not a big deal. It could be not a big deal. He passed out, get the blood flow going again. Okay, he's all good, right? He could be diabetic and maybe he missed an insulin shot or needed to have some gummy bears or whatever. Who knows? And then it's all going to be fine. Could be the case. Yeah. Yep. Totally could be the case. You know, I mean, for a lot of people, I mean, they're up there standing for an hour or more behind President Trump. They're giving their speeches here. Maybe for some people it's difficult to stand up there for an hour. Okay, and everybody's got their own different issues. I can barely I can barely stand for an hour. I gotta go pee. Matt Morris, I'm disappointed in you for not knowing who Dr. Oz is and having blinders on about people. You're a good guy, but stop having sheep behavior. I'll be honest, my brother, I don't even know what you're talking about. Are you mad at me that I was giving credit to Dr. Oz for potentially saving this guy's life? Do you think I should not give Dr. Oz credit for doing a great job in this circumstance? Maybe you don't like Dr. Oz for other reasons. That's great. That's your prerogative. Dr. Oz did a great job. Just right now, if you look at what happened right here, Dr. Oz just did a great job. To be saluted. Praise and accommodation. Whether or not you like Dr. Oz, that's on you. That's fine. Anyway, so you can be disappointed all you want, I suppose. That's fine. I'm disappointed in you for being disappointed in me for giving credit to Dr. Oz for saving this man's life. I'm disappointed in you, incredibly disappointed. And I want you to know I'm not mad. I'm not mad at you, but I am disappointed. So you better think about what you just posted in my live chat. I want you to go home today, finish out your day, and I want you to reflect on this. How dare you be disappointed at me for giving credit to Dr. Oz for saving this man's life? How dare you? I'm disappointed in you, buddy. It's unbelievable. It's very unbecoming of you as well. Unbelievable. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is going to pretty much be the show. This ended very abruptly. We're going to hope that this individual is healthy and stays safe and everything worked out. I want to thank you all very much for tuning in. Really, I am planning on being live again this afternoon. I think we're going to do an evening show at the regularly scheduled time. Thank you all very much for being here. In fact, I'm gonna get to work right now on making an afternoon video. So I think today it's going to be video morning broadcast, which ended terribly. I hope this guy's okay. I'm going to go make a video and then I'll do an afternoon or evening broadcast with you folks later on in today. So 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Western. That's the plan. Come on back this evening. Everybody make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like. I appreciate it. Thank you all very much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thoughts and prayers for this individual here. I believe his name is Gordon Finley. If you want to, send some positive energy his way. Hopefully he's okay. We'll get some news updates about that later on in the day. Until I see you next, later this evening, thank you all very much for being here. Sincerely, Gonfall says, Wizard of Oz, what a boss. True. All right. Thank you all very much. I'll see you this afternoon. Thank you very much. Until then, till I see you this afternoon, everybody stay safe and God bless. Thank you all very much.